In Trinidad, of course, like the first thing that I'm exposed to is calypso music and Caribbean music. So that rhythm is just like in my blood.
I'm your man, Trey Henderson, and this is the Indie Cedar. So, yeah, it's all I am so pleased, so proud, so happy to have a musical goddess in the building. It's Keba, y'all. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Thanks for being here. I'm doing well. So what have you been up to? What are you working on?
Oh man, I've been up to way too much. I've been making music and working on hopefully what will be a new album next year.
Nice. Do you love, because I've seen a few of your performances, you have this energy on stage, but you're so calm and like non-assuming in person. Do you have that? You know, like other people have this, but Beyonce is famous for this whole Sasha Fierce alter ego. Yeah. Do you have this alter ego on stage that you just kind of break into?
You know, I don't know if I'll call it an alter ego per se.
Okay.
Because it's still me. Like I never felt like I had to create another person for that. I'm definitely much more reserved in person, and I am shy, but I love the stage. So once I get on, it's like something comes alive.
So people don't believe you when you say you're shy. So in a regular small group, just conversating.
I'm trying to be an advocate for introverts that like still have a good time on stage. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Do you feel it's the artist's responsibility to reflect the times that we're living in the art, in the music?
I think I've learned that it is. You know, it's not something that I think is automatic. I think you have to come into that space and that time in your own life where like you're connecting with something bigger than yourself and you feel the need to create from that space. But to say, you know, I know like that's a famous Nina Symone quote or something like that, right?
Yes.
So to say like it's something that I wouldn't want to impose that on an artist before they're ready for that. You know what I'm saying?
Understood. As far as your family background, I know you're West Indies.
Yes.
Born and raised.
Trinidad. In Trinidad, of course, like the first thing that I'm exposed to is calypso music and Caribbean music. So that rhythm is just like in my blood, you know?
Yeah.
But something about like those records that my mom would play from Stevie Wonder, she just had this appreciation for music that was huge, and I think it's what sort of drew me to it. Like I just remember being young and she'd be playing the piano and I would just be fascinated by that.
Oh, mom plays too?
Mom plays.
So you had to have, okay. This all makes sense.
So, you know, she always wanted to get deeper into music. It just wasn't something that like her family could get her into as a child.
Understood.
Under, you know, those circumstances. But she was able to give that gift to me.
And you've got you just released something a couple months ago now. Loco for the Coco. You said, and you can describe this afterwards, it was one of many times I felt objectified as a woman in my line of work. But there were layers to this man's transgression, layers to his violation of the personal space I occupied at the intersection of my race, gender, and class. I thought that was amazingly worded, well articulated, but it's so deep. How does that relate to Loco for the Coco, and describe what led about those sentiments?
Yeah. So Loco for the Coco, I actually wrote that while I was driving home from a gig. Yeah. And it was just one more gig where, you know, I had this older white gentleman come up to me, and I shouldn't call him a gentleman because he was not.
He was not a gentleman.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And either say something that was inappropriate or touch me in an appropriate manner or in a way that I never asked for, you know?
Right.
So it was like a realization that, hey, there's something more to this. And I think there comes, it's crazy the amount of people that I've spoken to since then, black women who are entertainers who have had situations like that happen to them. And when you're experiencing it, you feel like, maybe I'm the only person, or I don't want to talk about race in a situation where it might just be like a woman thing. But you realize that it is, and you have to acknowledge it and start telling the stories, because it is where being Black, being not necessarily a rich upper class person, where maybe this person feels like they're giving you an opportunity,
right.
or
because you're performing in their spaces,
space, yes. Right? And you know, and being a woman,
right?
So all of those things I started to realize definitely play a factor in the way this person is treating me, and I wanted to talk about it. You
combine this how do I articulate it? It's still very much appealing. It's seemingly you showing your body, you owning your body, you saying, I know you crazy about it, but it still belongs to me. My sexiness belongs to me. My femininity belongs to me. And I think it's one of those quiet anthems for women, even though it's you know, people would say, well, if you feel that way, then cover up. But you're doing the exact opposite. You're saying, this is it, and it belongs to me. So I know you care about how women feel and women in the business. What else do you do aside from the message through the music to support other women in artistry?
So I love working with women just in general.
Yeah.
So if ever I can hire a woman to help me create art, I'm always looking to do that, especially women of color. Yeah. And also, I'm working on a consulting business right now that I hope to launch in 2021 for women who are in the music industry and want to take that to another level. Or maybe they feel like they always wanted to be in the music industry and they never had the chance to grow that dream. And I think that now, as an independent artist, is one of the best times to be making your art and doing it in a way that you can make a living from it. So I want to help women create that. How
do you feel about the industry as a whole right now, in terms of for women and just in general? How do you feel about the industry? You know, there's streaming and all this other stuff going on, so you can't really monetize your content the way you could in the past with at least someone purchasing a single. How do you feel about that aspect of it, and just growth opportunity? And I know you've toured and all that, but even levels of exposure. What's the prognosis, so to speak, for the industry from your perspective?
I think that creativity is always gonna win as long as you understand what's happening. I think educating yourself about where the industry is now is huge, and there you can find opportunities, but you have to be creative. You have to be willing to present your art in ways that are going to get people's attention. It's going to raise the value of your art, and it's also just going to put you out there as someone who is creating something different and bringing it in a unique light. And I think even you can look at independent artists, but you can even look at people like Beyonce, for instance, and see how with Black is King and with some of these more recent projects, she is really taking her art and trying to present it to us in more creative ways every single time. So that never ends, whether you're big or just starting out. That's the game.
What inspires you? What makes you say, I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to find a new way to be creative. I'm going to invent something new. I'm going to reinvent the wheel. What does that for you?
I think the challenge of it is equally inspiring. The fact that there is something here that if I really push myself, I can tap into something in a way that nobody has as yet. I think that's like that thing that keeps me like a hamster on a wheel.
That's good stuff. How old were you when you, and where did you go? Your first tours were 2015, 16?
16.
Oh, 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you go? What was tour life like? It's a shock sometimes, you're so accustomed to one thing and then you're on the road. So how was that?
It was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Nice.
Just from the perspective of I can do this. I think right before I went on tour, I had done the Tobago Jazz Experience and I had opened for Jill Scott.
Nice.
And so it was like a time when I was waking up to possibilities for myself and my career. Because, sometimes you're doing it and you're like, I'm doing it, but I don't know where this is going to go.
Right, yeah.
And then you have certain experiences and you're like, oh, okay.
Opens your eyes. Wow, this is available.
Right.
This can be for me. Yeah.
Right. So I got an opportunity to perform in Portugal. And I was like, I'm not going over there and just coming right back. That's not how this is going to go down. So I was like, I'm gonna just plan a mini tour while I'm there. And I
Wow.
researched it, and I read articles, and I wrote to people who wrote those articles, and I was asking questions. How did it go? What do you recommend?
So you basically did the framework for that tour to come up.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I performed in France, in Paris. I
Love it.
performed in London.
Yeah.
And an unexpected show we did in Spain because we were on a layover before coming back.
Wow.
So we someone took us to a jazz lounge.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Of course, I ended up on stage.
Of all the places you've been, what would you say is your favorite to visit and revisit?
I love Atlanta,
Yeah.
and I really loved Spain.
Nice.
Yeah, I did like Spain a lot, and I wished we
Do you feel like
could
they're a
have-
little more receptive to your music there, or what was it about Spain that just did it for you? Was it just the vibe, the
It
feel?
was the unexpectedness of that night that when we went there,
Right.
there were these people. I was the only black person there,
Okay.
and they were having what they call Black Night. I know this might sound wrong, but they were having Black Night in terms of the type of music that they wanted to celebrate that night. That was kind of the reason why I ended up on stage,
Yeah.
in terms of the fact that this is the kind of music that they're celebrating tonight. But you have these people who don't even necessarily speak English performing songs by Nina Simone, and so a lot of times I'm sometimes careful about the use of the term cultural appropriation because
Right.
sometimes you can miss the fact that people are just really appreciating
Right. It's appreciation as opposed to
something.
appropriating.
So
Right.
in this particular case, it was an appreciation, not an appropriation of the
love
culture.
that. Yeah.
And so I went in there, and I was just amazed at how deeply they connected with bluesy, rootsy music and from African American culture. Hi, I'm Keba. I'm so excited to be here on the Indie Seat. Thank you for having me. And you can follow me at Keba Music on all social media, or check me out at kebamusic.com. See you soon.
I'm Trey Henderson. You've been watching the Indie Seat. Special shout out to our producers of this event, Context of a Generation. Peace and blessings, family. We love you.
So that was the Indie Seat. If you like what you saw and you want to be a partner, or if you want to collaborate with us, even if you're an artist and you want to submit your work, check out our website, contextofageneration.org, or go ahead and submit an email to us at submit@contextofageneration.org. And for all the artists, make sure you put your name, your social media handles, and attach some of your work as well. And for those who are interested in being a partner or collaborating, please email us, and we would love to reach back out. Peace. That was the Indie Seat. Thank you.